Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind of a Minority. My name's Charles. Thank you for joining me. I didn't think that I was going to have to make this video. Many people seem to think that I believe Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to America. And it's not true. It's not true at all. But I do know that he was and still is the best candidate for the job right now. Okay? It's called objective reasoning. I don't just look at what the news says about the man and take it at face value. I look at what the man has done along with what the man has said, and I don't take somebody else's interpretation of what he said with sound bites, tweets where only certain selections are highlighted, or a letter that the man shares that is somebody else's opinion and get whipped up into an emotional frenzy over something that's not even going to directly affect me. There are a lot of things going on that directly affect a whole lot of people. And next to none of it are the words that come out of the president's mouth. I mean, you want to talk about statements that the man says that are inflammatory. Have you forgotten that Hillary Clinton said this about young black people?
They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about...
I mean, hell, Clinton's 94 crime bill destroyed black families, instituting all sorts of things. Stuff like mandatory sentencing, authorization of the death penalty for 60 new criminal offenses, the 3-strike rule, even for nonviolent charges. Did you know that 78.5% of life sentences in 2016 are people of color? The crime bill also allowed people as young as 13 years old to be tried as adults, which exploded the school to prison pipeline. And by the way, today, 66% of the juveniles that are faced with a life sentence, they're black. Do you people really believe that Hillary was a better choice? All those emails that she was deleting and scandals that she was involved in, and you're worried about something that Trump says or doesn't say? Even if he is racist, he didn't do anything like this. Now, let's talk about Biden for a minute. This man is obviously in cognitive decline. And you think that he's going to be able to deal with one of the most stressful jobs in America? Are you kidding me? Look at what happened to Barack Obama after serving as president. He can't even remember the opening for the Declaration of Independence.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
The guy's a lawyer. This should be elementary stuff for him. And he just keeps saying crazier and crazier things. Honestly, I'm looking forward to September, November, because I just know by then there's going to be so many crazy things for me to laugh at. I honestly think sometimes that he might be on Trump's campaign.
We've been doing everything we can do to keep Biden from being the nominee, and guess what? We tried it in Iraq. It's not working, so now we're going to try, in Iran. Excuse me. We tried in Ukraine.
How do you explain the performance in Iowa, and why should the voters believe that you can win the national election?
Number one, Iowa's a Democratic caucus. You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. You said you were, but now you got to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you. You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no, let him go. Look, here's the deal. I'm not voting for you. Well, I knew you weren't, man. You think I thought you'd stand up and vote for me? You're too old to vote for me. The fact is, if you're going to take on the government, you need an F-15 with Hellfire missiles. There's no way an AK-47 is going to take care of you if you're going to take on. You're worried about the government coming down, knocking down your door. We never said you could own any weapon at all. You can't have a magazine that has more than 10 rounds in it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
On top of all of that, he has sexual assault allegations against him that he obviously is trying to divert everyone's attention away from. I mean, just look at him in this interview and tell me the man is not guilty.
So the former Senate aide accuses you of sexual assault. And please, to our viewers, please excuse the graphic nature of this, but I want to make sure that there is no question as to what we're talking about. She says in 1993, Mr. Vice President, that you pinned her against the wall and reached under her clothing and penetrated her with your fingers. Would you please go on the record with the American people? Did you sexually assault Tara Reade?
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened. And it didn't. It never happened.
In the past 30 minutes or so, you released a statement on Medium, and among other things, you write this: there's only one place a complaint of this kind could be, the National Archives. I am requesting that the Secretary of State the Senate ask the archives to identify any record of the complaint she alleges she filed. If there was any such complaint, the record will be there. Are you preparing us for a complaint that might be revealed in some way? Are you confident there is nothing?
If there is a complaint, that's where it would be. That's where it would be filed. And if it's there, put it out. But I've never seen it. No one has that I'm aware of.
Why not push for the release of any documents with Tara Reade's name on them, whether it's at the University of Delaware or the National Archives?
First of all, let's get this straight. There are no personnel documents. But you can't do that. You wouldn't, for example, if you worked with me or I worked for you and you had my income tax returns, you had my whatever. They're private documents. They're not for they don't get put out in the public. So they're not part of the public record that in fact is that any senator or vice president or president has in their documents. Look, there was one place that she could file the complaint. And that office at the time was all those records from that office are in the archives, and they're controlled by the Senate. That's where personnel documents would be if they exist. No, that's all.
As we await for the records from the National Archives, are you absolutely certain? Are you absolutely positive there is no record of any complaint by Tara Reade against you?
I am absolutely positive that no one that I'm aware of ever has been made aware of any complaint, a formal complaint made by or a complaint by Tara Reade against me at the time this allegedly happened 27 years ago or until I announced for I guess it was in April or May of this year.
Okay, Joe. Look, here's what I believe. Trump's image is beyond repair, thanks to the media. He's not perfect. Everything that he's done has not been wildly successful, but his image is beyond repair. And I would love for a better candidate to come up and replace him, because that would unify the nation under this new president, and we could start working on things that actually matter. But you've got to ask yourself and be honest. Has he done anything that is going to contribute to the good of the people of this nation? Well, let's take a look. Here's a rapid fire list of 10 things that Trump has done that you probably, if you didn't know about, didn't realize the magnitude of. Number 1, he got rid of the penalty for not having health care coverage that Obama imposed on you and me for being young, healthy, and not requiring insurance. You know what I call that? Extortion. Thank you, Trump. Number 2, he ensured students on a GI Bill cannot be penalized for Veteran Affairs mistakes. So if the school that you're going to is going to penalize you for being late because the GI Bill did not provide you with that money in time, you now have a defense against that penalty. Number 3, he blocked China's 5G telecommunications infrastructure from being built in the United States. Because if China controls the pipeline of information, then they can not only regulate and monitor the information that's being transmitted, they can steal national intelligence, or they can take the information for themselves. Number 4, he publicly spoke out against Northam's attempted assault weapons ban in my home state of Virginia. I like that. Number 5, he started restricting travel from China to the United States by foreign nationals, not Chinese citizens or their immediate family, January 31st, when the CDC had just made a recommendation to advise people don't go to and from China. He actually started banning that travel. It didn't apply to everyone, and it wasn't a perfect way to stop the travel of coronavirus from China to the United States. But while he's busy doing this, Pelosi is walking through Chinatown.
She has been going around to show that it is perfectly safe to be here.
Number 6, he used a drone to kill an Iranian general, top Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, who's responsible for the death of at least 600 Americans, and possibly more. Not to mention all of the citizens of Iran and Iraq who have tragically lost their lives because of this terrorist. And when it happened, I mean, people acted like he was just some camel salesman, that he was, out there doing good deeds for people of Iran. Like he wasn't a soldier just killing people. Number 7, he has ousted the World Health Organization for their faulty models, alongside the Surgeon General, Mr. Jerome Adams, and dropped their model because now we can use the data that we have to produce more reliable models. This was a great idea considering the fact that we were led to believe over 1 million people could die. Here it is 5-6 months in, and we're at just over 100,000. And the country is still not opened back up. But that leads me to number 8. He has fought to reopen this country since the middle of March, saying that by Easter we should start relaxing these restrictions, because he understands if people aren't making stuff, then there is no stuff to buy. We're closing down factories that process meat, we are plowing under crops, and we are euthanizing cattle by the thousands. If we don't open this country, a plague of poverty and famine is going to sweep the nation. And we might already be looking at that over the next couple of months, because of the damage that has already been done. If you thought coronavirus impacted us severely, you've got another thing coming. Number 9. He wants to declare Antifa a terrorist organization. Now, I know that there's a lot of media outlets that say he can't do this, and a lot of people will argue that there is no Antifa. But it's quite obvious that there is an Antifa. There are people who refer to themselves as Antifa. That would be like saying there are no Bloods or there are no Crips when you've got people running around with blue and red flags. There is an Antifa. And we already know that people get paid to protest. People get paid to incite violence at protests and turn them into riots. And what has Trump done? He's acknowledged that the protesters are being falsely charged with all of the violence that's going on when there are specific groups and outlets responsible for setting these incendiary environments off. He's acknowledged that, which is why he wants to label Antifa a terrorist organization. And the 10th and final reason that I'm going to give you, because I don't want to take up any more of your time, is that he has altered millions and millions of people's view on the mainstream media. He has made it abundantly clear that they will misrepresent and lie about information in order to sensationalize and make views and money. We as a people have to come together about this issue and hold them responsible. Because we as a people right now have to come together and hold them responsible. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. But nobody is. Do I think he's the best? No way. Not at all. But he is the best option we have at this point. Right now, a war is being waged for the mind of the minority. Because before long, the minority will be the majority. I love you all. I wish you the best, and I'll see you soon.